there's a famous line in Breaking Bad from Jesse.
Yep.
Where he's talking about Walt, and he says, he can't keep getting away with this.
I tweeted out this meme yesterday after the Chiefs game.
Oh, my
so
God.
funny.
So funny.
The Chiefs, with Mahomes, with Andy Reid, you could apply it to either guy. They win another game at home when the other team just invents a way to give it to them.
Yep.
The Raiders snapped the ball. O'Connell wasn't ready for it. It was on O'Connell. It turns into a fumble. Chiefs win when the Raiders were in field goal range. And the Chiefs survive another one. And you look up and they've lost one game all season long. It's crazy.
And you know what's interesting is the Chiefs actually probably lost more games than that, but the teams that they played against lost them more.
Oh.
So
I like that take.
What's fascinating about all great teams is you have to be willing to play the waiting game sometimes, because it hasn't really clicked for the Chiefs, and they know it. Mahomes is getting impatient. He talked about it a couple of games ago where he's like, we got to start. I think it was after the Carolina game, which felt like a loss. Ostensibly, it felt like a loss, but they found a way in the last drive of that game. They gave the Chiefs too much time. He was able to march the field, and they were able to kick the field goal and survive and advance and get out of there. But that feeling of we just got to outlast these teams because they're going to make the mistake that buries them. Well, it happened against the Raiders. You know, it happened against Carolina Panthers. They left too much time on the clock. Eventually, the team you're playing against is going to, you know, either outstay their welcome or they're going to do the thing that you can't do if you're going to beat Kansas City. And week in, week out, that has been the story with the Chiefs. I don't think they're a very good football team. I really don't. I don't. This isn't what good football teams look like. This is what the 2022 Minnesota Vikings looked like. You remember we were all like so impressed with Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell this season they were having, but it felt like it was built on sand, and they got found out in the postseason. I don't like the way they're built right now. They remind me of the Philadelphia Eagles from last year, where they were surviving the whole season, and their quarterback didn't look like the same as he was. Jalen Hurts from 2022 when they went on that Super Bowl run. In 2023, there was just something that wasn't quite clicking with that offense. That's where the Chiefs are right now. Now, there could be very different results in the postseason because they know that path. That's a well-beaten trail for the Kansas City Chiefs. But, yeah, the reason why they keep getting away with this, to get back to the Jesse Walter White exchange in Breaking Bad, is because there's a lot of teams that will let them off the hook. You saw what happened in the Cauldron in the pressure cooker against the Bills. They never let them off the hook, and they won that football game. So many teams do or have, and that's the reason why their record looks the way it does.
Well, I didn't know the rule with the difference between the illegal procedure and the false start. Like, was that rule officiated correctly in that situation? I honestly wasn't really – I'm not as keen on it.
Yeah, I believe so, because if it's just a straight false start, it would have been whistled dead.
Yeah.
If you got some movement, you know, you'll see this sometimes. It's like the old CFL rule where like a guy's in motion and then might start going forward. They won't blow that dead. It's just, you know, an illegal motion penalty, that sort of thing.
It's kind of a quirky rule because usually as football fans, we're trained that when we see that flag right before the snap, the play doesn't count. And, like, the quarterback could, like, run to the back of the end zone and throw it out of the back of the end zone and nothing bad would happen because they're going to blow the play dead. So it was kind of a weird way for it to end. But at the end of the day, there is still this aura of doesn't matter. You have 15 in red. You've got the great equal. Like, for example, that Panthers game. Was there ever a moment
no.
at the end of – exactly. There was not one moment once – the game was tied.
Yep.
And the Chiefs got the ball back. There wasn't one moment where you're like, yeah, Kansas City's not going to drive down.
Did you feel that yesterday, though? Raiders in field goal range, driving.
I thought they were going to miss the field goal.
I did, yeah.
Carlson has missed. How many field goals did he miss in that game?
3. Terrible.
And they weren't even close. Like the last one, I think, was from like 57 yards. Looked like my drive off the tee in the breakfast ball, off the first tee. It's just like a little squibber, barely got off the ground. I don't want to be the square peg here, I mean, maybe some days I am, but that's okay. One of us has to be the square peg every day. I'll be the square peg when we get to the playoffs.
Right.
If it's Chiefs, Ravens, if it's Chiefs, Bills, and make no mistake, if it is Kansas City at Baltimore in the AFC Championship game, last year I think the number was KC plus 4.5.
It's not going to be at. I'll tell you that much. It's not going to be at Baltimore.
No, it's definitely not going to be at. It's not going to be at. Well, probably not Baltimore. Maybe Buffalo.
Right.
Let's say, and that is actually a good point if the game's at Kansas City. Imagine Kansas City, because you only get about 1.5, maybe for the Chiefs, Arrowhead, 2 points for home field. Right now, the Ravens are pretty clear of them in the power ratings. The Chiefs might be a home dog in the AFC title game to Baltimore.
That's
like,
wild.
maybe it's a pick 'em, but if it is, you're telling me you're not taking Kansas City in that game?
Yeah, and there's a mystique. There's a Mahomes mystique. There's a
Yes.
Chiefs mystique. And some of these teams, they start to panic. You know, that's what I wonder is, are we finally going to see Lamar and the Ravens, Josh Allen and the Bills, whomever, finally jump over this gigantic boulder? It's not even a hurdle that is the Kansas City Chiefs.
I thought it was going to happen last year. I was on Baltimore in that game.
And Baltimore just, again, they're just like, let's give our running back 6 carries. And it's like, what are you, that's what
Fumble
you
at the
do.
goal line for Zay Flowers. It takes those fluky things.
I played for one of these teams when I was in New England with Belichick and Brady. I mean, you just, you felt like you could beat anybody in any game. You never felt like you were overmatched. B, you felt teams wilt against you. You felt teams do things uncharacteristic, out of their normal, what you've studied on film. You know, they would be more disciplined, or they would do things that you knew what they were doing. It's like, oh, they're trying to race out to an early lead. They can't sustain this pace. They're going to break against the rocks of our beaches over here, and they would. It was just a matter of time, and that's what the Chiefs have done so well this season. Going back to my original point, they know who they are. They know what they can and can't get away with at this point. They know that the regular season they're going to have a good record and probably host some playoff games, and that almost doesn't matter to them because it's all about ramping it up for the postseason, which they're hoping they're able to do this season, which they've been able to do in years past. And that's where they're at right now. It's the Brady Belichick thing. And by the way, they're doing that heel turn that the Patriots and Brady did as well, when it was nauseating how many calls went the Patriots' way and how well protected Tom Brady was. He gets everything. Look at the flag. If you so much as breathe on Tom Brady. Well, guess what? It's happened to the Chiefs now, and people are so sick of it. But an evil empire is good for sports. You know, when the Golden State Warriors were really popping off recently, it was good for the NBA to have this conglomeration of great players with a great culture and a great head coach come together and sort of carry the banner for a little while. So as much as we all hate it, as much as it turns your stomachs to see what the Chiefs doing, it actually is good for the NFL. It's just not fun to watch sometimes because you're like you said, Jared, it's too predictable. The beauty about sports is the unpredictability. But when Bryce Young gives Patrick Mahomes 2 minutes at the end of the game to go win it, he's going to go win it.
Yeah. There was zero doubt in my mind that he was going to win that game. I mean, at this point, we just have to accept it for what it is.
Yep.
The Chiefs are a flawed team that will be an underdog in the playoffs. Probably multiple games. Like, if it's AFC Championship game against Buffalo, they're going to be a dog no matter where that game is played. If it's the Super Bowl against the Lions, oh, yeah, they're going to be a dog in that game. And I'm probably going to bet them both games. I'm not making the same. When I was in high school, I was 16 years old. I remember we used to have this poker tournament in my basement not every week, but whatever. I was late to it one time. And I remember my friend was calling me. He's like, hey, we got to start the poker tournament. I was flying home. Got a speeding ticket. Got my license suspended for 3 months.
Wow.
My junior year of high school. It's like the
You
worst
were
thing
really
that ever happened to me.
speeding. That wasn't just a
Yeah,
little
I was going
speeding.
50 and a 25. It was a reckless. I had to go in front of a judge. He's like, your license suspended. Boom. Justice. I haven't gotten a speeding ticket since. I don't make the same mistake twice. I remember sitting in the sports book watching the Ravens blow the game to the AFC title, and I'm like, I am never fading the Chiefs again in the playoffs, especially as an underdog. Didn't do it in the Super Bowl. They won that game. I'm not going to do it this year. I'm not making that. If they are an underdog to Baltimore, Buffalo, AFC talk, I am on Ken. I will go down with the ship. I will go down with the Mahomes ship.
By the way, super quick bow on the Chiefs. I just hate when comments get really dumb, and we're getting a lot of dumb comments about the Chiefs. Going back to the end of the game against the Raiders, where it's like the officials were waving their arms in the air. They were blowing the play dead. If you have an immediate recovery on a fumble, they're going to give the other team the ball. This is not just a Chiefs thing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how many times do you see a play whistled dead because they thought the ball carrier was down? And yet you'll go to replay and it's like, oh, that was a fumble. And what? And there was an immediate recovery. So they're like, well, the other team gets the ball. I don't understand how many people are just like, the officials blew it dead. Like, what the hell? They're just cheating for the Chiefs. No, they're not. You're dumb. They're not cheating for the Chiefs. You're just dumb.
Join the evil empire. Get on board. Just bet the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You're going to be fine. You're going to make money off it.